Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Whatever time you're watching this, as always, thanks for watching Common Sense Fishing. So I've got one heck of a story for you guys today. And whatever time you're watching this, uh, it's a freaky one and it's a true story. And it's crazy. I don't think it's one I've ever shared with you guys before. And it's a true story. I would say kind of for mature audience. There's some bad things that happen to some people, and we didn't really get to witness it all. But I'm going to tell you guys a really crazy story that I actually seen on Mr Ballen. So Mr Ballen, the what is it? The strange, scary, and something in tale format. I love his videos. I'm subscribed to his channel, so I watch his stuff. And I'm sitting in the bathtub and I'm watching one of his videos, and sure as heck, he goes over one of the stories that I was slightly in a way involved with, in a very minor way, and a kind of a witness on in a side aspect. And we're going to go over that later tonight. But we've got a lot of stuff we're going to talk about, so I just wanted to get that out of the way and let you guys know, because it's a cool story. It's crazy. It's just weird. It'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And we're going to ask the question, what would you have done? Do you think you would have figured anything out? How would you have felt about it afterwards? And just, so anyways, we're going to save that for a little bit later on. Tonight's live stream, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notifications are on, because I've been having people, like, I've been doing giveaways and raffles, and people just aren't even aware of it. And they're late commenting on my Facebook posts and stuff when I've already clearly everything's closed. I've already given the items away or something. And these are friends of mine too, people that should know. And I'm just like, weird stuff's going on with my Facebook and YouTube lately. So I don't know. Just make sure your notification bells are checked, because here at this channel, I'm very passionate about fishing and about the community that I build here. And I want to make sure that I'm always giving back to you guys and gals in the form of tips, how-tos, breakdown videos, and also giveaways. Yes, we do giveaways here very often. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Go check out a couple of my other videos. I do a lot of live streams, but I also upload regular videos. So usually on this channel, you're going to get 2 to 3 live streams a week. They're usually 2 to 3 hours long, and they're usually anywhere from 6 or 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. These can change because as I am a father of 4 kids in the house. I actually have more than 4 kids. Long story. But, I'm a business owner and I've been real busy. So even just then, it's hard to, like if I had millions of subs and, I would need to do, believe I'd be on time and I'd never mess up, and I'm trying to give that to you guys and gals. But the big thing is consistently I'm here for you guys and gals. I upload videos too, Monday through Friday at any random day. Could be a Tuesday, could be a Thursday, could be whenever, right? I try to know if I'm uploading a video. I try to avoid uploading it the same day that I do a live stream, so that I have steady content. And last week, I don't think I got a video up Monday through Friday. So we're going to be putting a big striper video up. We're going to be putting up some nice bass getting caught, California Delta. So I'm going to probably break that down into like 2 videos. And we'll release that this week coming up here. So stay tuned for that. And California Delta, so anyways, we're going to be, I'm going tomorrow. So I'll be at McClure with a subscriber and a member. So big shout out to Keeping It Real. We'll be up there seeing if we can put a hurting on them. We're going to go check out some different areas, check out some different tactics, and try to find them when they're brutally tough like this at McClure. Like McClure can be a real tough lake. And if you live in another state or area and you have a tough lake like that, I can help you break them down. We offer memberships here on this channel, and part of that is you get early access to every video. So when I release a video that's a normal one, We give it to members for a day or 2 or 3 or 4, and then it goes to the public. And then what we do is we also have behind the scenes stuff. We do members only giveaways every month. The members get a giveaway no matter what. And they're also eligible for all the regular ones. We have a lot of cool stuff. So I do one-on-one videos with members, and I also do members only live streams. So that way, you know, if things get hectic and busy, you know, you always know you have a direct outlet. So, or inlet to me, you know, and an outlet to, you know, fishing and stuff. So I'm always happy to help. And so big thank you. If you're watching this right now, big thank you. If you're watching this later, thank you. Smash that like button. Share this video if you'd like. Let other people know, hey, there's cool YouTube on doing all kinds of stuff. Talking stories. I just got a lot of cool, so life stuff to share. Let's just say that. Scary story, a lot of experiences. As you guys can see behind me, I'm into a lot of different things. So this channel is unique in that, yes, it's a fishing channel. I'm trying to grow another second channel called Common Sense Talks. If you get a chance, go check that out, where that's going to be more of my direct opinion, my direct observations on things. It'll pop culture, you know, news and opinion, stuff like that. So if you're into things like Tim Pool, the quartering, or even on the other side, Vosh, stuff like that, then that'll be something that you'd be interested in checking out. We're going to be doing a video over there after this as well. So if you want, when we're done hanging out here, go ahead and hang out over there if you like, and you get to learn a little bit more about me. We're going to go into a couple of recent news stories and talk about how I feel about them. Obviously September 11th, so I'll get into my feelings on that. So that's definitely going to be for that channel. But anyways, you know, that's the kind of stuff we do here. A lot of fun stuff. We go down rabbit holes. And I do a lot of charity work, try to help out the community and also the fishing community. I do giveaways for everybody. So try to be as supportive as I can. And if you guys and gals would like, smash that like button, support the channel, subscribe. But let's get on to it. So I want to cover some fall tips and tricks and transitions, like how to, you know, catch fish when the nights are getting colder. That fall transition is here. A lot of people think the fall transition happens at the very beginning of fall, or either when it gets real cold, like when the weather's noticeably different, which is completely false. The fall transition will actually happen while it's still brutally hot and it's 100% still summer out. Because what'll happen is summer, the way the Earth's, you know, temperature, weather patterns go, they're cyclical, right? You got winter where it's super cold, spring warms up, and then you get summer, the peak, and then end of summer starts dropping off, and then you get the fall, and then you get the dead flat line, the coldest in the winter, right? And then it starts to warm up again in the spring, and it does that over and over again, right? And two things that are almost one thing that is 100% tied in with this, and the second that is usually tied in with this, is the light. So no matter how hot the water is, no matter how hot it is outside, no matter how cold it is, nothing can hide or give away what the Earth's going through than the light from the sun. That tells the fish everything. That tells the plants, that tells Mother Nature, that tells us, the farmers, that tells everybody. Every living creature on Earth reacts to the sun. That is key number one. And believe it or not, in fishing, that's one of my biggest tips. When the light starts to drop and when the daylight starts to get less, the fall transition will start to happen very soon after, even while it's still hot outside. All right. And if you're into growing plants, as soon as if your plants flower in the fall and you harvest them around October, maybe November, even sometimes late September, right? You'll notice that those plants start to flower in the middle, like in summer, right? Like in about August maybe, and it's still brutally hot. That's when the fall transition also starts to happen. That's when the top water bite slows down. That's when the numbers and all the fun starts to slow down, if you don't know what you're looking for, because those fish are changing behaviors just like the plants are according to the light, right? And then secondary to that, which it will definitely confirm to the fish, is the nights get colder. So as if the nights get colder, see when the nights are warm, that body of water has less heat it can give off, so it doesn't cool down as quickly. The earth beneath it is around 56 or 55 degrees, I want to say. And so if the body of water is 80 and it's hot, it's the ground is soaking heat up like a big heat sink, right? And so the lake is cooling off from the bottom up. Now when the nights start getting cold, the lake can also start cooling off from the top down. Now the ground is 55, it's going to be colder there than it is right up here, where let's say at night it's 60, right? So you're going to have, but you're going to have 8 hours of that. So that top surface layer will start cooling more and more as the nights stay cold. And those fish that are in that top surface layer that are up shallow, they feel that temp difference at night. And that's when they start backing off. Fall transition happens. Even while in the day, it's 100 degrees outside. So now, the story about Mr. Ballen, the story about the scariest story ever, right? I want to tell you guys that. I kind of want to save that for a little bit into the video, see if we can get more people on. If you guys want to comment, like, appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking it out. Because I want to make sure, today's live stream, I want to stay on for a little bit, hang out with you guys and gals. And I don't want to, how do you say, what is it, bury the lead, where you just get right into the story too quickly. But Mr. Ballen had did a video, I think it was a year ago. It's got millions of views, and most of his do, right? But it was about, the Steyner story and the girls that were murdered. And, he did a great job of narrating and telling the story. But I can tell you some things that nobody knows. I can tell you some things only 2 people have seen, well, 3, and it's freaky. It'll raise the hair on the back of your neck. And we're going to share that with you guys shortly. So stick around, share the video, let everybody know if you're interested in hearing stuff like this, because, this is a fishing channel. But again, I have another channel where we go over all kinds of stuff like this. But this is kind of fishing related in the sense that we were camping and fishing. And then it's relatable if you don't care about fishing or like fishing one bit. This story alone is worth watching and sitting through, trust me. So you know what, might as well, let's just get into it. So I'm gonna tell it, like, try to make it as if you guys and gals were there. So buckle up and get ready. All right, so I want to say I was somewhere between 17 and 19. This is all from memory. I could look all the information up, but I want to say I was somewhere between 17 or 18 and 20, maybe 19. Hold on. And the mountains burned yet? This may have been in the 18 to 20 range, I think. Something like that. But anyways, so you can put yourself in my mind frame. Me and 2 buddies, we were going to go up to the lake. We're going to go up to Lake Don Pedro in California. And we were going to party hardy. We were going to get beer and hard alcohol, get weed and all kinds of stuff, right? Nothing bad. We didn't do drugs like that. So we were, we were ready to just have a blast. So we went up there. And my buddy knew some girls from Don Pedro, and we were going to go up there and meet them. And they knew people up there too, right? And we knew other people as well. So we show up, and we were supposed to meet this group at the gas station off of like 132. And I think we met them. I think that's where we met one group of like girls, a car full of girls. And we drove out to the lake, and I think they had a guy with them too. and it might have even been 2 cars. I don't remember. I think it was just us and the other car at first. We get out to the lake, and while they were there, this is back in the day, so we didn't have cell phones, or if we did, I remember there were Nokia ones, I think, because I worked at Singular Wireless, so they were like big, bulky, ugly things, but they weren't like the big ones like in the 80s and 90s. They were just, you couldn't text, you couldn't, well, yeah, you could text barely, like that feature just came out. So you got to think, like, I'm 40 years old basically. So 20 years ago, text messaging literally just came out. Like, they had the cell phone and you could call, but BlackBerry, I think, or one of them was one of the first ones that you could text. Like, I remember the old school Nokias. It was like a home phone, but that was, maybe a flip phone, or they also had the one that had the little screen with the buttons, and it had the little antenna like this, and it looked like a walkie-talkie. So, anyways, I don't remember how, but we made it, is that or a payphone. The girls and us both made some phone calls to people we knew in the area, and we tried to get like a little party going. So we go out to Pedro and we go out to Hatch Creek. So if you're familiar with Lake Don, the 132, and there's a private road, or there's a road that drives down, and it goes right into Hatch Creek. And when Hatch Creek is full, that road actually kind of gets slightly flooded. And off of that road, you can turn down a dirt road, and it takes you actually all along Hatch Creek on the right hand side if you're coming in from the lake, like on a boat. And there was a dirt road that you could drive all the way up to the water's edge. So, excuse me, I'll never forget this. So the girls had a yellow Volkswagen Bug, and I had a looked like the Mystery Mobile van, and we parked down by the water. Later, 2 other cars had showed up. We had a bunch of people. We had a fire pit. We, just had a grand time, just getting hammered and having fun, just, out in the forest, being, pre-adult, teens and stuff, and young adults, and just having fun. And eventually everybody left, right? So we ended up staying, it was me and my buddy. We had a tent, right? We pitched a tent proverbially too, right? So we had a big old giant tent set up, and right by the fire pit. And I think it was me, my buddy, and another buddy, and they can verify this story. I think there was the 2 of us, right, or the 3 of us, and there were, I think, a couple girls that stayed the night, right? And we're all in the tent, and it's probably midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. You got to understand, back then we didn't really have like cell phones like you do now, where you could just click them on and see the time. Cell phones, I don't think, had the time on them back in those days. Like, you would have to call popcorn, or you'd have to call time even then. So they just simply showed, like, there was a couple of menu buttons, and then, when you dialed the number, it read the number across it, and then calling. And then they slowly started adding text to it, especially when they made the very first BlackBerry. But anyways, so we're chilling out at the lake. It's about anywhere from 2 o'clock, and I've got to pee super bad, right? I feel like I'm about to pee myself. So I wake up, I unzip the tent, and I'm trying to be quiet because there's all these, people in the tent sleeping with me. And I stumble out to by the fire, and I go walking away so I don't pee in the campsite area, right? We're going to be the next day. So I wander off a little bit, and I'm not too far away. I'm right by the thing, but far enough, right? So I start peeing, and I mean, I'm just messed up, hungover, still drunk, still hammered, and 2 o'clock or whatever in the morning, pitch dark. And I hear this rustling and this noise, and I look up, and I think I can see like a silhouette of a car. When the door opens, right, and boom, the inside dome light comes on, and then the door closes, and the dome light, after a few seconds, it goes off, and I'm peeing, and I'm kind of close to the person, and he walks around the side, like the passenger side of the car, and opens it. Is illuminating me with the door open, and I can see him pretty clearly. And so I'm coughing, like I cough, and I turn around peeing, just so he knows that we're there. Like, hey, he might be a homo, could be a share, I don't know what. So I was just like wanting to make sure that he knew that I knew he was there. So I make like a coughing noise, and he kind of startles, and he turns around and he sees me down there. And then I see him look at the campsite and the fact that there's two cars, right? He looks, and he looks over at me, and he quickly closes the door again. The dome light goes off. And I'll tell you, when this is from a sleepy, haze induced memory, all right, but it's the truth. In the back appeared to be two people, like something, people, objects. I don't remember if they were wrapped in something, or if I know I seen bundles or things like tied up, right? And I didn't realize what it was. And I don't know if he had a shovel or something. He had something laying up against the car too. I don't remember what it was, or on the hood of the car. And I don't know if it was a knife, if it was a shovel. I just remember an object that was weird. I just remember just coming out like just super stupid 20-year-old kid, right, peeing. And so my brain isn't on Detective Columbo mode, if it, especially then, and especially in that condition. And the guy, closes everything up, and he asked me if I knew where, like how to get to a certain area by Yosemite or something. I forget where he asked, and I think it was like something Vista or one of the points up there. And I'm just all like, oh, like, oh yeah. And you got to remember, there's no GPS, um, there's no like maps like for your phone or for our phones didn't have LCD screens back then. So you either knew the roads, you knew the area, or you basically, sometimes we'd guess and we drive the wrong way for a few miles. Oh no, we gotta go the other way. Or we knew by memory, we knew the roads, right? Especially up in the mountains from fishing so much. Or we'd have to get directions from a computer and print them out and hold them, right? And have directions and get to where we were going. And then to get back, you just reverse them, right? So he asked me for directions somewhere, and I'm just so burned out. I can't remember where he wants to go. I think I have an idea, but I told him, hold on, let me wake one of my buddies up. And I go and I get Jeremy, one of my friends, and I wake him up, and he seems kind of agitated. And at this moment, he actually comes towards us, like he doesn't want us coming up to him. And it was odd. I didn't really think about it at the time. So we make it just past the fire range, and he's looking at the camp like he could tell. He goes, oh, there's more, oh, you guys out having a fun? How many of you guys camping? He asked something like that. Oh, we got a couple buddies or friends. And then he's like, And then he asked us for directions again. And my buddy Jeremy knew them all. So I was like, guys, like, I'm just sitting there just all burned out while my buddy's, okay, you got to go back up this road. You got to go this way. Then you make a left on your 132, and then you're going to go up to the one to wherever. Then you're going to make a right, and then you're going to go, whatever. He was telling them all these directions on how to get up there. And the guy was like listening. He's like, all right, thanks, man. He goes, all right, appreciate it. Have a good one. Good night. And he's just kind of standing there, and he walks slowly back to his car, and we're not tripping. We go, like Jeremy goes, he gets in the tent, and I'm just kind of standing around like, now that I'm up, I was like going to drink another beer or something. And I think I got one out the ice chest, and I cracked it, and I'm sitting by the fire, and I watch him walk up to his car, and he just turns around and watches me. And he stands there for like 30 seconds to a minute. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what the hell is this dude's problem? Like, what's he looking at? What's going on? And then he turns around, he walks around the car. I want to say it was a red car, like a not a station wagon, but a longer car, or I don't know if it was a coupe or four door, but I just know it was. I believe it was a red car. I don't remember the details, super fuzzy details on like all the stuff, but I remember him without a doubt. And I remember to this day when he opened the driver's door to leave and him getting in and that light coming back on. I can't get out of my mind that it appeared to be like two things in the back tied up. Don't know what, like, I don't remember if they were in um, plastic, like they had tarps or bags around them, or if there were just people tied up because the light went on and off so quickly. But bed, not thinking nothing of it, and wake up the next morning, finish partying. We go home, and it's like a couple nights later. I don't remember how much later, maybe even like the next day, or it was like, it wasn't too long because I remember this was all fresh in my memory. Could have been a while, but it wasn't that long. And we are chilling at the house and we watch on TV this murder killed two or three women, I think it was. And it was the Steyner story. And they say that he had, like, I don't know if he stabbed them or cut their throats or cut the head off or did something to one of them and did something to the other. And I think he had like burned their bodies in the car. Like he had ran the car off the road and burned them. And that was the same dude that asked us for directions. And I have a feeling he was going to either set the car on fire and or he was contemplating and driving it into the lake, perhaps. I don't know what he was, or maybe we were actually where he actually ended their lives. I don't know, but I know that we spoke to the FBI. We were witnesses. We had to talk to them once, and that was it, though. But we gave them our account of what we saw. But apparently, they had been up at Don Pedro looking for the girls, and like they knew, like Don Pedro was an area of interest for them. That and specifically the area we were in a sense. And then I don't remember. This is all from memory. You can go look at the details of the Steyner story if you want. Oh man, it's super crazy. So we, they were up in that area looking. I don't know if like I woke up because I had to go pee, right? And at that time in my youth, I didn't get up in the middle of the night to go pee. I slept through the night. Something woke me up, and that guy was there for a while. His car was not running. There was no exhaust heat coming from it. There was, it was colder, not super cold because I know it was warm enough where we didn't like how camping can be. But if I woke up to him doing something, or I don't know, but it was crazy. Like, like that was the dude. Like Jeremy, my buddy, one of my best friends, still witness. Like, yeah, that was the guy, because it was all on news, and it's like he did this and this to these girls, and we're like, oh, that's the dude that asked us for directions. And then going back and thinking about it, it was like there were some red flags that I probably would have caught at this age, right? Yeah, look up this. It was a Carrie Steyner. I think that's Steven Steyner, the poor Steyner family. I believe he's related to the other Steyner, like a cousin or a brother or something like that. The one that was kidnapped and molested and stuff like that, and was like held against his will, and he escaped. And then he became a free man, and he died on his motorcycle in a crash. And this is like his other brother. Yeah, they caught him. That's how we knew. We were like, oh my God. So we talked to the FBI, like they were wrapping up all the evidence for it. Like they had just caught him, and it was a big old deal. And it was all over the TV. It was like Scott Peterson level, right? It was all over the TV what this guy had done. And we were just like, our jaws hit the ground when we seen this guy, because my buddy lived with me at that time, right? We were my buddies lived with me since he was like 15 or 16 until we were in our 20s. You know, we've always been there for each other, like roommates and stuff. You know, until we, you know, start families and move out on our own, we were always there for each other in a sense. But yeah, they caught him. He was on TV. It was like our heart stopped, jaw hit the ground, and all these thoughts ran through my mind. Like I remember the way he looked calculating around at the camp, the way that he asked us if any people were there. Um, exactly. That's a thought that to this day I can remember that dude's face. I can remember the position of the car up on the mountain. I can remember like the color. He was wearing a lighter shirt and a darker pair of pants. Remember the shirt kind of stuck out because of moonlight and it's nighttime, the stars and stuff. I can remember the car appeared to be red or brown or reddish or something like that. I remember certain details, but it's hazy. But I want to say, man, when that dome light came on, it seemed like there were ponytails or hair or something or people in the back. And I want to say it looked weird, but the light was on briefly. And or it just going back, I clearly remember two things in the back. Like, damn. And I don't know what woke me up. I don't know if he knew we were there the whole time. What was going to happen to us if he knew we were there and I didn't wake up to go pee? And he could have just crept right up on that tent, opened it up nice and quietly. And there were all of us just laying there out cold, drunkard and skunks, you know, super crazy, frightening story. So, you know, it was like it was a little traumatic to think about, but in the sense it was like, yeah, we're safe, nothing happened to us, right? But in hindsight, in 2020, you think like, what if those girls were still alive when I think he's still alive. It was Steyner. I don't know if he's got the death penalty or he's been put to death yet, but you can check the story out. You can check out that he was in Don Pedro Cedar Lodge. He was up in the Yosemite area and he frequented that whole area up there. I think he worked up there, did something up there, but I think he killed 3 women, I want to say. But we were there. Oh yeah, and we were there. It was the 2 girls that they found in the car, I think, all burned up. And I want to say he was either going to try to bury them. I don't think that likely. I think he was going to try to burn the car and then push it into the lake, or either push the lake into the car, as he drove it where only backwoods people would know. Like we knew about that spot because we knew people up there, and we knew the back roads very well of Don Pedro and McClure, fishing and little teenagers, right? And it's like hindsight, man, thinking about the fact that if I hadn't got up to go pee, because he was not far from our camp, I don't know how he didn't see us. And I seemed to have startled him, but it was dark. The color of the tent kind of blends in with everything. The van was like bluish green, dark colors, and the yellow bug was parked below the van, and the van was kind of hiding it from view. So when I look back, I can kind of contemplate that maybe he didn't know we were there and I genuinely caught him by surprise, or maybe he knew we were there and he just didn't expect anyone to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. It's just crazy, the what ifs, right? What if those girls were alive? What if he was going to do something to us? Uh, what if, man? Pretty crazy, right? So that's a true story. I don't think I've ever shared with you guys or gals. And you know, it's I've been through a lot of crazy stories. I think I've shared most of them. I probably have a few other ones, You know, I've told you guys about the mountain lion encounters and all that crazy stuff. It's just, I don't know. I'm lucky to be alive. All the crazy stuff I've been through, especially in them damn mountains, man. McClure and Don Pedro are some of my best memories, and some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen has happened up there. So it's like, but true story. Thank you guys for joining and commenting tonight. That's a freaky story. It's the truth. You guys can go look up the Steyner story. Uh, I believe, yeah, yeah. We had some local Golden States. There's another couple of other ones too. So there's the Golden State Killer. There's he's the police officer that went on a rampage in the 70s, and I think he got away with it for many, 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 many years, like as an old man. But thankfully they got the Steyner dude quick, because he would have kept doing it. That's why I strongly think he was contemplating if he could take us out, you know, and just or I don't know, just it was crazy. But you never know. That's a little life lesson around. You never know the situations until you can look back and catch all those red flags. But a drunk 20-year-old me definitely was not catching any of those red flags. Now afterwards, yeah, I mean, I'm a smart cookie. I was able to put two and two together, and I had enough memories because it was so fresh to the event that I was like, oh my god, because I did remember saying things in the back seat. I don't remember what they were, but then once you realize what happened, your brain can kind of put a picture to it. But it was so fuzzy and blurry, but it's like flash moments of clarity, and it's like I want to say I could, you know, see two humans basically in the back. I don't know what, but it's nuts. So I'm lucky I'm alive and my friends are alive, and hey, you know, nothing crazy happened to us. But rest in peace to those girls and to the other ones he got, and may he rot in hell and get what's coming to him. Yeah, yeah, crazy, right? How much how much bad stuff has happened in this state, you know? uh, if you guys want to hear, you know, like a crazy story, I'll save one maybe for another time. But I've got one more that's real similar like that. You know, direct correlation to something like that. It's crazy, but we got to warm you guys up to something like that. Also, I wanted to let you guys know, big shout out to Keeping It Real. My aunt Linda passed away from cancer or COVID about a little over a week ago. We were selling raffle tickets for these reels, $10 a piece. You know, yeah, they're like $50, $60 reels. They go anywhere from $49.99 to $79.99. And we're only doing like 10 tickets per reel. We raffled one reel off already. So I think on Facebook, uh, keep a lookout if you're interested. We're going to do this last one, be done with that. We had a members only live stream earlier, about an hour ago, and we had a members giveaway, a surprise giveaway. Keeping It Real won that one. We're going to be having another members giveaway on September 14th. So just a couple of days coming up. Make sure you mark your calendars. And if not, it'll be the 15th. So I think it's Tuesday. I'm going to shoot for Tuesday because I do not have work. So let me double check on what day that is. That way you guys have advance notice, get a chance to join. Yeah, the 14th. So on the 14th, we're going to do another members giveaway, and make sure you guys have your notification bells checked. And then for the regular subscribers, we're also going to be having a giveaway for you guys. So make sure notification bell is checked. I've got a couple whiteboard videos breaking down Lake Don Pedro that I'm finally going to be releasing. I've updated them for the fall transition. Yeah, me too. I've got a lot of crazy stories to share if you guys are interested down the road. I've got a real powerful story about forgiveness. If you guys are interested in hearing that, about overcoming uh, about overcoming some of the most craziest stuff that you could imagine, and at the end, coming out and embracing and forgiving the person uh, that's semi-responsible for that. So it's a pretty cool story. It's I don't consider it too dark or bad because it's got a really good ending. But if you guys are interested, I'll share that with you guys tonight. What do you guys think? You guys and gals want to hear a story of some uplifting positivity that does have a lot of whoa, tragedy inside it, I guess you'd like to say. Yeah, if not, maybe I share that one for its own video. I don't know. But this Steyner story was crazy enough. True story. My buddy Jeremy was there with me. I think my buddy Jay was there too. He didn't wake up to come out. Jeremy was the one that gave the dude directions. Stared him in the face just like I did. And seen him like afterwards, like, wow. Like, can't believe we gave this killer directions. He might have even known how to get where he was going and just simply wanted to see if we knew how to get there. I don't know. Now, on the 14th, I think it's a Tuesday, so we're going to shoot for our normal time slot, maybe like a 6 o'clock. All right. You know what? I'm going to share a story with you guys then tonight. Why don't smash that like button and let's help the channel grow, and let's get into a crazy story. Okay, it's gonna deal with my aunt who's passed away from COVID. It's gonna deal with some personal issues of my family and I, and it's gonna be a story that is about 30 years in the making. And I might tear up a little bit, but it's a true story. Oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely break Don Pedro down for you guys real good. McClure, Don Pedro. I've got the whiteboard. Um, yeah, I appreciate it, but this story, man, it's powerful. So it's true, every bit of it. I might tear up a little bit, but it starts when I was about 10, 11. I don't remember. Maybe 9. And in order to get this context, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory. So, and I'm going to tell this kind of quickly, okay? My mom and dad, they got married. They fell in love, right? My dad and his sister, my aunt, were like twins. They were really close growing up, and they're almost like autistic in a way. And my mom kind of stole him away. You know, they were all in Monterey over there, and they lived over there, and everything was kind of fine. They butt heads a little bit, kind of like how you would with maybe a mother-in-law or father-in-law you didn't really get along with too much, but nothing bad. Well, eventually my mom moved us to Merced from Monterey for work, and my dad, he worked at Spreckle Sugar in Monterey or Spreckle Sugar in Manteca. So it was easy for him to change and get a job here. And she had an opportunity to work in a doctor's office, a transfer, make better money. And so they took it. They came to the Central Valley, and they brought us here. That pissed my aunt off, and my aunt and my mom butt heads a little bit. And every year we'd go back to Monterey to visit 2-3 times a year or more. And yeah, so here we are. I'm about 9-10 years old, and I have a brother who's kind of special needs. Used to be, right, really bad. And a little bit about his backstory is he had giardia when he was really small. They didn't quite know what it was in time. It affected his development, and he had some mental issues. Not that bad. He was actually still kind of normal. He was just in diapers longer and just had hearing issues. But he was still kind of like a normal kid, but just little special needs, right? Well, one day we were out at Applegate Park playing, And we were playing, having a great time, and Dad says, time to go home. Didn't want to go home, right? So I was being real ornery. My dad got my brother wrangled up and got my other brother wrangled up and put him in the car, and I was in the car, but I jumped out and ran back across the street to play like it was a game. My dad went and chasing me. Well, while I was doing that, my special needs brother got out, thought it'd be funny to do the same thing, and he got out and ran out, and there was a truck coming down 23rd or whatever that is, going 80 miles an hour, man. Smashed into my brother, hit him, ran him over, cracked his brain. His head was cracked open. I could see his brain. His leg was like a pancake, and he was foaming, and he was shaking, and then he went still. I watched it all happen, and my dad picked him up and was holding his son, just bawling. It was like, oh, my son, my son. And we don't have cell phones back in those days, so he goes to doors and he starts knocking. Hey, call the police, call the police. And the guy that hit my brother, he took off. He just left. So he knocks on the door. Nobody answered. And he's screaming at the top of his lungs. He goes to the next one where there's cars there. And he's banging, and nobody will answer. Like they're scared because he's knocking so loud and hard. He just kicks the door in. Boom! He kicks the door in. And he's like, someone call the police. And he's like, I need help. And when he did that, someone called, the ambulance came, they got him. And my brother's been worse after that. He was in a coma for 2 weeks or something like that. And the part of his brain that had to do with taste, with chewing and swallowing, and with like hunger and food, it was still awake while the rest of him was like asleep, right? So he woke up with this intense hunger, this urge to eat, and it's medically induced eating disorder. And after that, he went from the skinny little kid to this big fat, and he's so small. He's only like barely 5 foot, and he weighs like 400 pounds now. But back in the days, he wasn't. It took him a while, right? So he wasn't. So let's rewind it. And this is after the car crash, I think. Right? This is after the car crash, and this is about a year later, and maybe 2 years later, and he's in like a diaper. He's maybe 6, 7 years old, and I'm maybe 8 or 9. And he pulls down his britches and he poops on my aunt's stairs, my Aunt Linda's stairs, and on purpose, and he pulls up and he heads up, and he runs away laughing like it's funny. And my mom was just frustrated, mad. She cleaned it up. She caught him, and she pulled his diaper down, britches down, cleaned them all up and all that first. And then she spanked him. My brother is whiter than white. All right. This kid is white as a freaking piece of paper. And so, of course, he bruised just a little bit. Nothing even bad. There was just a red handprint, like if you've ever smacked your wife on the ass type thing, right? And my Aunt Linda got all upset, and she called CPS. And CPS showed up, and because my brother had a thumbprint on his butt cheek, they took me and both my brothers and removed us from our home. And they put us in foster care, where I was molested and abused by this black lady and her husband. And their 2 kids were real nice to me, taught me how to tie my shoes. And they used to like beat me, the mom and dad would, if I didn't tie my shoes in time, or, when I had to get up for the bus and stuff. I was my first foster home. I couldn't stop crying. I was just inconsolable, and I threw a fit. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't do anything. And they pulled me out of that one, and they put me in that other one. And I went through hell for a while, and I got out of that one when I complained enough, and I got put into a farm. And I got to spend some decent time on a farm with some decent people. And anyways, Fast forward through life, you know, I had this deep hatred for the police, for CPS, for authority, for anybody to have the audacity to assert their will over other people, especially over simple stuff like smoking weed or jaywalking or whatever. Murder, rape, there was no doubt in my mind what was bad, right? But to see police flashbang people's houses and raid them and have little kids killed or maimed by flashbang grenades over things like marijuana, no other offenses either. I used to enrage me. I mean, it still kind of does, but I used to have this deep hatred that it was so hard to get over for authority, right? And at this age, bit of an anger flare that comes up when I see certain videos or hear certain things. But I love and support the police, and in a sense, right, that I know we need them. The community needs them, and I know authority is good in a way too, right? Like a father or a mother is good for their kids, just like some government rules. It's good to have rules, right? But being a little kid with these traumas and with these things, it was real hard. Now, so I had been, abused and just really horribly treated over my mom spanking my brother on his butt. And I think it was about 2 years it took my parents or something. And they finally got us back. And fast forward to high school. And we're not doing too good because of after after being removed from the home, two things happened. I learned my parents were deathly afraid of CPS getting called on them or losing their kids. And as a young kid, that against them to do whatever I wanted. And it became a point where I was I was just a damaged little soul, and I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I would just threaten my parents. I'll call CPS or whatever. I'm gonna do what I want. Fuck you. It's part of my language. But there was a point where I treated my parents like that, and I wish I never had. But I took care of my. Told her how much I loved her, and all. I got very good closure with her, and I took really good care of her. I was her in-home supportive care, and made sure that she didn't die alone or in a bad spot, so to speak. But went through a lot of things in my life, right? A lot of negative. I've been through a lot of positive too, but at this point now, I'm in junior high, or not junior high. You got to realize I'm in junior or senior in high school, and my parents lose their place, and we become homeless. Now, rewind to Linda, the one that spanked my brother, got us removed and put in CPS. Well, in between that time and now, her and my dad co-owned that house in Monterey. My grandma and grandpa died and left it to their children. And my uncle Gary, he passed away. He's a Vietnam vet, stuff like that. And he drank himself to death, and he passed away from sclerosis of the liver when I was about 13 or something like that, or 12 or 10. I don't remember. 12, I want to say. And so after he passed away, my dad and sister were the only two living people owning this house right almost on the beach in Monterey. And when I was about 15 or 16 years old, my aunt wanted to sell the house and move to be near us, right? My dad and aunt wanted to sell the house, and it would be half his money, half hers. So what happens is his credit is wrecked. He just destroyed his credit after losing his children. He ended up losing. They closed down Spreckles Sugar, and he ended up losing his job, having to go on disability, and because he couldn't find much other work, and he genuinely, after putting over 20 something years in Spreckles, he was heavy, had knee problems, all kinds of issues. Not making excuses for him. And he was, 50 something by that age or something like that. So, or whatever he was, 40 something, almost 50. Heavy set, wasn't doing too good. So he went on disability, and they wrecked their credit. So When my aunt and my dad went to try to get a loan full home so they could sell it for a lot of money. And the financing company said, "Oh, great, yeah. Oh, but wait a minute, his credit's way too bad. We can't have him on the loan. And even if because he's a co-owner, we can't give you the loan unless he signs the house over to you." So my dad signs the house over to Linda, and she gets out the small loan and rent and hires contractors. They come in and they add a room to the house, they paint, they renovate, they do the front and backyard. They sell the house for almost $1 million, right? And they come to Merced and they buy a home outright cash, and they have about 500, 600,000 maybe sitting in their bank account, and we're homeless. And my dad's supposed to have half of that money. And they let us 5 people sleep in their garage for a few months until it got too hectic and crazy. And then they had to kick some of us out. And because I was the oldest and could get a job soon, and my mom and Linda never really got along, me and my mom had to leave. And we went and we slept. My mom slept on the couch of a friend of ours named Joanne, and I slept in the garage. And Black Widow infested, nasty garage for like 6 months on a couch, or even longer, a little bit longer, 6 to 8 months. And all the while, my aunt and them had all this money, and they wouldn't give us none. She even gave $25,000 to a family friend, um, but wouldn't give us nothing. And she bought vehicles for her kids who didn't have driver's licenses because they were hoodlums, and they would $20,000 rides with rims and sound systems. And then they like had his license at first, and then they get DUIs, get license suspended, right? Get the car impounded. After a while, what they do, they just go buy another car. And they ended up blowing through in the course of only like 3 years while we were homeless for almost a year. Then we got all our stuff together to live 5 people in a motel room for all the while my family is living hog wild on all this money that was generated from my grandma and grandpa's house in Monterey that my dad's supposed to have half of. And this is my Aunt Linda that just passed away from COVID. And she's always been there for me, but there's always been these issues. And so we go through all this trouble and pain, and she and her family just blow through this money within 2 or 3 years, gone. And they end up, because they don't have no jobs, they don't have no career, no life, they end up getting a second mortgage or a mortgage on the house, and then blew through that money even quicker, because now instead of 600,000 or 700,000 or 500,000, they get a mortgage, they get 100,000 or 150,000, like a loan on their house, right? Then they blew through that money. Then they got a reverse or a second mortgage, whatever it was. Then blew through that money. And then as the money was dwindling down, they were about to lose their house. Serious as hell. My cousin, her kids, right, are not very reliable, hardworking people. And I'm not going to be too negative on their kids because, but when they were like 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old, they were playing with matches and they burned them in the garage. And so now they became almost like homeless. And again, I'm not here to, definitely not gloat or even and I told you so or anything over that matter. But then the tables started turning, and I single-handedly, after getting a strike and a felony, after crashing a 120-mile-an-hour car crash for a crime I didn't commit, being stuck underwater for 2 minutes, having to fight my way out of a car, losing my credit, then having one of my best friends being trapped underwater for 10 minutes and nobody could save him. So I single-handedly had to rip him out of the car by myself because the other 2 guys with me had PTSD and they were shell-shocked, couldn't go under the water after the car crash. I get him out, and with the firemen, I bring him back to life 3 times. Me and the firemen do. I go through all this shit, and I'm stuck in this hole of being homeless. Then after being homeless, living 5 people in a motel room, no savings, no money. Um, just lost my car in debt, like 15 grand, have a strike, a felony, and I swear to God I'm innocent. And I think I've told that story if you guys have heard it. If not, that was a condensed version. But he'd hire me. Things, as that's happening to me on the other side, they're just partying like it's 1929, right? They're just living large, and those tables slowly start to turn. And I don't care about their predicament. I wish they had stayed good. I wish they had become good, stayed good, and had never had something bad happen. But on my end, I always had a positive and a hard work ethic. And one of my punishments, so to speak, was I had to wash police cars for 6 months. And when I'd spent 6 months with police officers, I earned a little more respect and trust for law enforcement, stemming from my past. You can understand where my distrust would come from. And they saw a person that was genuinely good who was screwed between a rock and a hard spot. And they all liked me. And so the chief of police himself, awesome dude, went and got me a job at Foster Farms where I made $14 an hour and I worked 12 to 16 hours a day for 6 days a week, where I met and I was able to help my parents move out, and I got my own place again. And I got us a place. I got me and my parents a place. We were renting. Everything was great. Then I ran into my wife. Then I met my wife and I had my kids. Yes, I lost my firstborn son. Yes, my wife divorced me after 7 years, right? But I got things a lot better. And now I have the wife I have now, and life is just awesome. I've been together for a long time. I have my own house, have my own career. I had to go through all this drama and trauma. I went to college. I got a degree for HVAC. I got an associate's degree. I even went to get my bachelor's and almost finished up. I got all my GETC and my CSU breath requirements done. I got a 3.9 GPA. I pulled out of the biggest pit you could ever imagine. And if I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it. Now, here's what I always tell people too, is if you're not in that big ass pit in the first place, imagine how higher you could have been if you didn't have to crawl and climb out from here. So if you start out here, don't put yourself down there. And if you find yourself down here, you can get up here. It has been a long, crazy road of forgiveness. For the last 10 years or so, I know my Aunt Linda hasn't been doing too good. And I know my cousins haven't been doing too good. And I had to forgive. I had to forget. I don't forget necessarily, but I had to forgive, had to let it go. And it makes me feel so much better. And I love her. And I'm able to now look back and cherish all the good times we had with my aunt. All the times when I got to go to Monterey and visit, and we went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. All the times that even over here, she would take us in and do things for us and with us. All the times she was always a positive, welcoming soul. In my opinion, what went wrong is she was too nice. I look back now and I say my Aunt Linda's always been nothing but loving and nice. But in a way, that was her weakness, because she couldn't tell her kids no. She couldn't discipline her kids. She couldn't be a proper parent to her kids because her husband, her second husband, had passed away. And so she missed him terribly. There was no father figure. So she spoiled her boys. And couldn't say no to most people, but she said no to us for sure. But I think it wasn't her saying no, it was her kids. So her kids didn't want to see her give us any money because that was all their drug money and their play money. So I forgave her a long time ago, and I am not in any shape or form wish upon her the situation, where she was living with her kids. COVID took her, it's sad what people what sometimes you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So the moral of this story is I was able now, the last 2 years, I went and I seen my Aunt Linda and I told her I forgive her. And it was so powerful for me, burden holding me back, this just this weight. It was free and it felt so good. And I was able to truly love my Aunt Linda like I was a little kid again, and give her a big hug and squeeze her and tell her how much I loved her. And I'm sorry to see her go. COVID got her last a little over a week ago. And there's still more to the story, but this is my story, my family story, and I wanted to tell it, about where I've been, where I come from, the hole that I've climbed out of. And this ain't even the 100th of it, the things that I've endured, the positive and the negative. And I've done bad unto others, but not a lot, and nothing recently. I had some pain in my heart, and I feel bad for anybody in my life I ever took it out on. I'm kind of passive aggressive, so I'm super nice. I'm a teddy bear. I'm a really nice guy, but I take things in, and then what'll happen is if you don't get it off your chest, or you don't vent or relax or de-stress, then you can tend to take it out on people when they've done something wrong but not deserving of your reaction. So for those people in my life, I'm sorry, but I've never really done anything too bad to people. And especially like all my last 20 years of life, I've just simply, like 15 years of life, I'd say, I've been simply trying to catch up and live a proper life and then pay it forward. So I am not by any means well off. I have a little bit in savings. I have my own company, but I want to help out as many kids as I can. I want to help out the community with the giveaways, with the raffles. Well, the raffle was for my aunt. Well, like the giveaways, I want to help give back to people. I want to put out in the world positivity. I want to share my experience so that you guys hopefully take a little something from it. Treat people with a little bit of kindness. Try to understand we're all unique humans with our own emotions, feelings, past, and experiences. And even though, like how I've gone through a ton of stuff, I'll tell you right now, I've been homeless, like I said. I've had my son pass away, mom pass away. I've lost all my aunts and uncles, lost over 10 good friends in the course of my life, and I can name most of them off really quickly. Michael Marlis Riley, old school Andy, Grant Wilson. I mean, I've lost so many people. I've been through so much struggle and pain. Homeless, like I said, strike, felony, violent car crash where I watched a person die and brought them back to life. Um, Being bullied, molested, yes, abused. Those things happen to a lot of other people, not just me, not just happened to. And so none of us have a a a claim to be like, oh, look at all this crap I've been through. But I mean, the point, the moral of the story, though, is that if you've been through similar stuff like that, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There is always a different way out. There is always a solution. You just have to go get it. You have to work hard. You have to not give up. And if I could say anything, I would say that king above all of it all is remaining positive, is just putting a smile on your face and just trying to be positive, even if part of it's a charade. Like, you hear Robin Williams say, he looks so happy, he looks so positive, he looks so smiling, yet he committed suicide. I would never do that. I'm not that kind of person. But I think it's really important that if mind over matter, if you think positive and you try to do positive, you will influence positive, and that will come back to you in a way. Yeah, bad things happen to good people. I'm not some hippy dippy like all karma and the crystals and the spirit. But I mean, you do good unto others, and good's going to come back to you in other ways. People are going to remember stuff, and you help them, they help you, or you help this guy, so this guy's friend might help you. And it's just a circle. It's just of helping each other, right? And if you're negative and mean, that's what you're going to foster. So, with everything being said, forgiveness is important, because You know, you got to be able to forgive people to move on, to for your own health too. You know, forgiving, you know, I had to forgive the higher powers or God, so to speak, in order to move on mentally with, is there something in life after death, or is there a God or not? When he took my son, that was something that was real powerful and hard to deal with. But let me tell you that, like I said, in my opinion, uh, the most important thing is just being positive, because you can climb out of any hole and you can overcome and achieve any goal you set yourself. No boundary is too high, and no obstacle or pit is too low. You know, it's all up to you. So, hope you guys enjoyed my little story there. I told you guys two great stories in one tonight. I wanted to do a live stream to make up for missing Fridays. I'm not done yet, so just going to transition now to a different stuff, topics and stuff. Get your feedback. It's been quiet. Hopefully, I didn't scare everybody off or bore you guys off. What do you guys think about the story? Let me know what you think. And if you get a chance, smash that like button. But, you know, yeah, that's a true story of what's happened in my family between me, my aunt, forgiveness, and then some of the trials and stuff that I've been through, and why it's so important to never give up and keep a positive attitude. So, with that being said, I hope I didn't down you guys too much. Looks like we've only got 3 people on here right now, huh? So, but yeah, so two crazy stories for one. Mr. Ballen told basically that story, the Carrie Steyner story, and yes, I was a witness in a sense to that crazy thing that night, camping out at Lake Don Pedro, and also telling you guys a powerful story about family, forgiveness, about being there for each other, positivity, and just keep going, man. One foot after another, one claw at a time. Pull yourself out of whatever hole you're in, and don't be ashamed to ask for help. Or, like, I wasn't really one to ever ask for help, but if someone offers their hand down, take it, right? Take the help if someone offers it. You know, sometimes it can be a little hard to ask for it, but if it's offered, take it. So, with that being said, I'd like to offer my help to the fishing community. Like I said, you know, we're going to be breaking down Lake Don Pedro, McClure, Tulip. We're going to hit these mother lode lakes up. I'm even going to try to do my best breakdown of the Delta, kind of how the tide comes in and out, how you can either chase it or wait, because fish are constantly moving. So, you can fish a certain area. Or you can chase. So there's a couple different tactics. Break down one of my favorite areas in the Delta. So I'd like to spend some more time at some of the other lakes and get some different stuff going in. Well, I appreciate. Thank you for commenting. You know, the second story was it's all been true, but it's like that's just something about me and my past, and I think that I don't know. I think it's good to hear that people can go through such things and still come out okay. And then if you can avoid such things, do it, right? Um, and not everybody who goes through so much trauma is going to come out okay. It takes a real strong person, but even then, we're as strong as we make ourselves. So get good friends, you know, good support network, and just live life too. Ultimately, I think the other moral of all these stories is love and live life, man, because tomorrow isn't promised, right? Steyner story tells us that. My aunt passing away and any other trouble you guys have experienced, you all know that life is fleeting. So grab it by the balls, or grab it by the pony, right? Either way, grab life, man, and roll with it. Just go, have fun. So you only live once. Be a good person. Treat others the way you want to be treated, right? That's the moral of the story. Now, we're going to also do some fishing tips and tricks for fall transition. Like I said earlier, kind of before I launched into the stories, I was saying, you know, big way. And then stop me if you guys are interested in talking about certain topics or subjects. Comment buttons right there. I'm always open to go down whatever avenues, and especially on these live streams, much more of a freestyle content versus if I'm putting out, specific fish related content that's just fishing only. And I'm always happy to engage and talk with you guys. So, anyways, fall transition. The biggest giveaway to the fall transition is going to be the light change. That's what I think a lot of people are a little bit slow to the punch when it becomes the fall transition, because they wait for the weather to dip into the 80s or 90s or low 90s or stay in the 90s. Fall transition, like I said, will happen when it's still 100 degrees out in certain parts of the country. And that's all because of the light. So, like I said, if you grow, corn, or you grow fruits, or you grow, hell, even marijuana, whatever, you grow whatever you grow, there's a lot of, hence the name harvest. The Thanksgiving was when they would have all this harvest, this bountiful harvest, right? The pumpkins and all the stuff that would flower in the fall, right? You harvest it before the winter comes, and you harvest it in fall. Now, these plants during the summertime are all in a vegetative growing stage with a lot of energy consumption and a lot of activity, a lot of growth. Fish, humans, we're doing the same thing. Summertime, we're going, right? Everything's going and moving, right? It's the active time. And for us, we may not notice it, but for the animal kingdom, for everything natural to earth, they sense everything according to the weather, to the sun. So light plays a huge role. Even if it's overcast, they know when it's 14 and a half hours of overcast, then 14 and a quarter, then 14, then 13. They start to notice. So what happens is you'll notice these plants start fruiting and flowering in August, some in late July, some August or early September. That is also when certain fisheries are starting the fall transition, because I strongly believe that the fish, just like the plants, adjust to the time of day, and they know, hey, it's the days are getting shorter, regardless of if the water's cooling off yet. They know based on the light of how many hours in the day. And so I think the fall transition things has been happening for about 2 weeks or so already. But we'll get into the full of it here in the next week, week or two, when we stay in the 90s. It's going to be really nice when these fish start grouping up. You're going to have a good window till they start getting too cold and the bait fish starts dying and fish have to go real deep. Some of them will stay shallow. There's always going to be fish shallow. But fall transition, this is a wonderful time to get some nice jigging spoons. Flutter spoons more for the winter. You can use a flutter spoon, but a jigging spoon gets down there quicker. And if you want to know my opinion, I'd rather throw an LV 500 over a jigging spoon, because there's so much bait, there's so much activity. I want those rattles. A jigging spoon to me is probably a little bit better when the fall transition is a little farther in and there's a little bit less bait fish, maybe. I don't know. I'm 50-50. Like a blade bait I like using, but again, those are more of a cold water bait for me. In this type of weather, I'm going to be throwing the LV 500. I've got a video where I'm out at the California Delta using the LV 500 and destroyed it. Had a great time. So I'm going to be uploading that. Members get early access, so that'll be happening probably later today. And then I see it sometime early next week. And I'm going fishing tomorrow at Lake McClure, and I'll be breaking that down for you. And whiteboards of Don Pedro coming up. I think it's McClure as well. And I haven't done Tulik yet, but I'll probably do Tulik and New Maloney's as well for you guys. So smash that like button. Thanks for joining me on this Saturday. And it wouldn't be a proper video today if we didn't pay respect and homage to our first responders, to the victims of 9/11. It is the 20-year anniversary. I'll never forget it. So I want to take a few moments to talk about 9/11, what it means to me, some of my deep feelings on it. And if you guys want to leave a comment below, go ahead. Tell me Where were you when September 11th happened? When 9/11 happened, were you alive? Where were you? How old were you? You know, what were you doing? And put those in the comments. And what I'll do is I'm going to tell my story of 9/11, where I was at, what happened to me when it happened, some of the emotions, some of the things that we did in the aftermath. Um, Almost signing up for the military and what changed it and how I feel now. So, first of all, no matter how I feel about what happened with 9/11, um, I just want to say a big, big, rest in peace and sorry for all the victims of it, regardless of what happened. That's just, it's tragic. Should have never happened and it should never happen again. And I'll never forget it. I was asleep, and I always wake up late and just pop up and not now, but I used to always wake up late, just pop up and go to work, right? Go take a quick shower and just go, right? Um, so I don't know how, because it was East Coast, so I think it was 7 or so over there. So it was, I want to say, like 5 or 6 in the morning or 4 in the morning. I don't know. It was early. It was still dark out. I remember my cell phone rings, and I'm like, "What?" My mom or dad or something. I just ignored them, went back to bed. 30 seconds later, bring. I'm like, "What?" I answer the phone. I'm like, pirate, like, "Arr, what?" And my mom's like, or it was my mom, I think. She's like, "We've been bombed. We're at war." And I was like, uh, okay. I'm like, "There's no bombs dropping here." I was like, "I'm going to bed. Good night." Click. And then I didn't even remember that. I didn't remember that until later. So I get up and I get all dressed and ready, and I go to work. And I'm working at AT&T, the call center at Singular Wireless, Pac Bell, whatever, right there on the Castle Air Force Base. And I walk in, and there's nobody at the security center. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? There's never not a security guard at the front gate, at the front door. And I walk in and I get down, and the security guard's around the corner, and he sees me. He goes, "Oh yeah," he goes, "Come in." And then I'm walking, and you turn the corner, and if you know uh, Singular or AT&T, Pac Bell, if you're from the area, or a call center, the big call center is out here, and before you get to it, there's a break room that a TV and all that. And he came in the front, and he went like this. I walked by the break room on my way there, and I'm walking kind of slow because it's like, where is the break room's filled with people, right? All the people are just filled in the break room. I'm like, what the hell? And I stop, and the big TV's on, and the tower's burning and smoking, and we're watching, and I'm like, and we watched the second one live. We watched the second plane while we're sitting there come in and hit the second tower. Boom. And we're just like, oh my God. And we're still watching it. And we were still watching it when the first tower fell. Like, oh my God. And then we're hearing, the Pentagon. And then there was this. And we don't know what's going on. Like, our attack's going to be coming left and right. And well, we're on an Air Force base. So we go in and we're sitting down. And everyone who's there, like, it was the boneyard. Like, there was only like 1/10 of the people even showed up for work. And like the other people knew like something was up and called in sick or something. And then there was a good amount of us, but I remember the call center was like a ghost. There's probably half of us gone at least then. uh, there were no calls in queue, zero. I remember getting one call. I'm sitting there and one call comes through, and it's a customer, and they just wanted somebody to talk about 9/11 with them, like to talk about what they had just seen. And they didn't want nothing to do with their services. They didn't want nothing to do with the cell phone. They didn't need anything. They didn't have a bill they needed to pay. They had a valid account. They called up, how can I help you? And I pulled their account up. They were like, hey, did you hear what happened? It's crazy. They're just like, oh my God, I just wanted to talk to somebody. I was like, that's crazy that somebody so lonely probably, or don't have anybody, that they actually got to like call, a call center rep to talk to somebody about it. Thinking about that in 2020 hindsight, right? It's like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But Yeah, so I think it was monetarily because basically they have all these employees sitting there and there's no calls coming in. So what happened is a few hours into the day at like by 10, like by our first break, they're like, "Hey, if everybody wants to go home for the day, we totally understand. You'll go home with full pay." They're like, we're on an Air Force base, even though it's been closed down, it may be a target. They're like, all Air Force bases are all closed, and they're like, if you want to leave. So everybody was like, screw it, we'll go home. All right. So it was like I'll never forget 9/11. That was one of the craziest things I've, and I've been through a lot. That was nuts. So I went after 9/11, and I remember going to the local liquor store. Like, you aren't one of them Punjabi guys, are you? Like the terrorists? I'm like, you guys are cool. I've always liked you. And now they're like, no, no, we're Sikh. We don't do that, or whatever. I was like, all right, super racist, dumb thing to say, but they were selling American flags. I went in and bought a bunch, put them on the car, right? But then I started paying attention to it, and this stuff started coming out about it. Started putting two and two together. The dancing Israelis. Um, just look up these terms: scientists and engineers for the truth of 9/11. Engineers. There's something, another one, engineers and something. Google dancing Israelis. The fact that there's over 100 uh, cameras on the Pentagon and we don't get any footage. And why would they go to the gas station across the street and to the stores? They confiscated all the surveillance footage of other stores and companies before they could even review it or check it out. They didn't want nothing getting out about what hit the Pentagon because I think it was a missile. There was no debris, and there's two main photos. If you remember, if you can Google when the Pentagon got hit, the people started taking photos right away. And when it initially happened, the Pentagon didn't collapse. It was still standing, and there's a perfect circular hole blasted through all the way through, right? And then if you would have looked at the wingspan, they even did a documentary on this, the wingspan of a jet. And if it hit on landing and blew apart before, the problem is the big engines are on the wings. They're not on the front. They're on the wings, right? So when the when the when the plane hit, regardless if it hit the ground before or it hit the building, the engines on that, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say they're titanium and they're about 2 tons. They weigh about the same amount as a diesel truck. And the hole matched, like the nose of a plane, but on the sides, there was no impact where these engines, even if they would rolled and tumbled, they would have hit the building somewhere. They would have gone through at least the first shell, if not a couple of walls, right? And another damning thing is that if you look at an early photo of the Pentagon, they don't like this photo circulating when it had a perfect circular hole, and you could see there was almost nothing on the lawn. There was no debris, no tails, no wings, no nothing. Just a perfectly circular blasted hole. Yeah, you could see furniture inside, but no car, no seats, no parts of the plane, nothing. And the other thing is super damning. There's a window right next to the hole, like one thing over. There's a couple of windows that weren't even blown out, and the debris should have knocked them out. I just Building 7 shouldn't have crashed. No plane hit Building 7. Building 7 fell just according to fires. And you want to know a crazy fact? No fire in the history of mankind has ever brought a building down like that. Never. Never has, never will be. You can look, and there's hundreds of examples of skyscrapers burning for 20 hours straight. They'll burn till they're a husk and they're nothing but steel frame, but they'll never fall and collapse. And then if you do have a building, it catches fire, it starts in a certain area, and then it spreads. Fire will have hotter spots and colder spots. There's wind, heat transfer. There's going to be a part of it where there's the hottest, part of it's where it's cooler. If you look on that video too, there's only like 2 stories or a story or two that's on fire. How does this big ass skyscraper, and I'm not talking about the Twin Towers, Building 7, how did it come crashing in on its own footprint? There's so many questions. Again, I don't know who did it, what did it. I know Donald Rumsfeld, when he was asked, does the order still stand? And he said, of course the order still stands, because I think they were talking about, letting the planes crash in. Because after the first one hit, they could have shot the other ones down and saved a lot of lives, but they didn't. Everything went the way it went, right? The fact that Donald Rumsfeld, didn't he mention there was 2 billion missing, or 2 trillion missing from the budget, and the country's deficit at that time was 2.3 trillion. It's so super nuts. The fact that we invaded Afghanistan and Iraq when supposedly they were all Saudi. Why didn't we? The fact that bin Laden, isn't he like a Saudi prince, or like not a Saudi prince, but like related? Isn't he Saudi? So it's like there's so many questions. And then for NIST or something did a study on Building 7, and their own models, the building didn't collapse the way that their models show it. And then they admit that we can't say because it'll jeopardize national security. It's like, come on, dude. And then there's scientists and engineers that point out so many things better than I am now. Doctors, all this crazy stuff. It's just nuts. So I'm glad I didn't go off to war to kill people in Iraq for something that Saddam was a bad dude, right? But so is China. So is lots of Africa. So are a lot of places in South America. There are places all throughout the world right now, and have been, where atrocities and murders and huge crimes against humanity being committed. The cartels in Mexico, the Congo, and the butchers and the genociders in Africa that do mutilation and cut the women's breasts off and rape them. And they're like Burma, like China, the Uyghur Muslims. And yet we went into Iraq. And Bush's little midget moron ass laughing like it was a joke about the weapons of mass destruction, especially when he said it all serious, the weapons of mass destruction. And then like 4 years later, when he's at that and he's like, he cracked a big old joke. Oh, my weapons of mass destruction. It's like he thought it was funny. That is not funny. How many millions of Iraqis died, or hundreds of thousands, for no reason? Like, we shouldn't have been in Iraq in the first place, let alone. But why were we in Iraq? So now I'm afraid of what's coming up next. China. Who are we going to pick a fight with next? They've, if you pay attention behind the scenes, they've up and told all of the weapon manufacturers, we no longer want weapons for the Middle East. We want them for Pacific warfare, jungle warfare, warfare that's either suitable to fighting on United States soil, or in places like the Pacific and in the ocean and in China, stuff like that, East Asia. So, it's crazy. I got 4 kids right now that are living at the house, and they're not quite adults yet, but by the time anything pops off, they probably will be. So it sucks. So pray for, everybody to have level heads. But anyways, crazy stories tonight. Talking about, again, the Steyner story earlier. We talked about story with my family and forgiveness and recovery and pulling yourself out of a deep pit. And big, a little talk about it. There's so much it's the actual anniversary. Out of respect, I'm really not. But I'm going to say that for my condolences to everybody, to the families, to everybody affected by that, to the first responders, to the people that died later of cancers and lung issues from all the dust, from everybody that was affected by it in any way. That's just, it's horrible. So my condolences to all those. We gave some fishing and tips, but not much, just mostly jigging, LV 500s. And I would be looking in kind of like the backs of creeks and cuts and coves, main lake, and in areas where the fish can start to corral and pin bait fish. That's what I would do. And I would definitely fish deeper right now. 40 to 60 feet, you're going to pull fish out. So, all right, guys and gals, I think I'm about ready to sign off for the night. Unless you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. I've got a video I've got to produce for you guys. I've been lagging on that, so I've got to do a Delta video, 2 Delta videos actually. And I'm going to put those out. Members are going to get early access, just like always. Then they'll go to the public. But hey, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. Don't forget, check me out. I should be here Monday, but next week is going to be super chaotic, busy. I may be working 12 and 14-hour days again, in which case I'll probably try to see you guys Tuesday. I don't know how, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to go, so we'll see. But, keep the notification bell checked so that way when I jump on, you guys get a notification and you guys don't miss all the cool giveaways. So September 14th on Tuesday, we're going to have a giveaway for the members. Don't forget to check that out. We're also having a subscriber giveaway. So if you're a subscriber to the channel, you might want to check that out. And we'll see you guys then. So thanks for watching. Catch you later. Take it easy and tight lines.